Hi, this is Michael Bean, and this is your lesson for myfreeactingclass.com for Tuesday, September the 15th. Today, we are going to be reviewing this week's Actors Challenge and looking over a script from a Kelsey Grammer show called Hank. There's some fun stuff in there. You know, Caden, if you want, you can be the like very moody 16-year-old girl. You know, that'll be fun for you. I also want to talk about stress in performance. This is something that we haven't gone over recently, but I'm reading a fantastic book, which I actually have to go and get to show you, because this book, I spent a whole chunk of time this morning when I should have been doing emails. We're reading it instead. Oh my gosh, so excited about it right now. The book is called Permission to Feel by Mark Brackett. Highly recommended. I found him on Brene Brown's podcast, which is called Unlocking Us. I'm meant to have it ready for you, but I'm going to see if I can pull up a link to it. Yeah, there it is. Excellent. You know, so if you wanted to listen to this fabulous human completely for free, then what you would do is you would go to this link that I'm putting into the chat window right now. It's a podcast by called Unlocking Us by a woman named Brene Brown, who is a professor of social work at the University of Houston, who studies shame and vulnerability, and really links those two. Calls shame the biggest barrier to being vulnerable. And particularly in the context of acting, I think vulnerability and her ideas about vulnerability show up for me as incredibly useful for actors, because it's just what I see in class over and over again. I see somebody who wants to be present, and is sort of almost confused. They're like, wait, like I read the script and I had the feelings and I understand the feelings, but then when I get up in front of people, why can't I just turn them on and do the feelings? And if that's an experience that you have, then I highly recommend looking at Brene Brown's work. And this book is just the latest piece of her work or the suggestions from her work that I followed, but highly recommended. There was a passage in here I think I highlighted thinking that I might share it with you that was related to stress. He's talking about an emotional regulation strategy called reframing, or reappraisal, which is like looking at the thing that's happening just from a different perspective, and talks about an experiment with employees that happened where they showed one group of folks a video, like a 3-minute video a couple of times a week that was like, stress is bad, here's all the things that are bad about stress. And they showed a different group of people like a 3-minute video a couple of times a week that was like, stress is good, here's all the good things about stress. And guess what happened? Of course, like the people who saw the stress is bad video were like, oh my gosh, stress is bad, and they had more negative health effects from it. And the stress is good people were like, yeah, stress is good, rah, it makes me focus. And so just the reminder that fear and excitement are the same body response. Fear and excitement are the same body response, and that your story about what that body response means is extraordinarily influential in terms of how you feel in class or how you feel in auditions. So that I went over this a very long time ago, so it's a perfect time to bring it back, which is sometimes I've seen called the stress performance curve. But I think it's very relevant for auditions. It's very relevant for public speaking. It's very relevant, if you are, I don't know, even giving presentations on Zoom, which is that right, performance low to high, level of pressure low to high. You know, the zero pressure is not actually the place where the best performance happens. You know, this is something that you have to navigate for yourself. It's not there is a perfect amount of pressure for each person, or that works for everyone. It's something that you need for yourself. So one of the things that I've been hearing from some students, for instance, is that some students are like, yeah, man, I love Zoom. You know, Zoom is so great. I get to, tape all these auditions from home where I feel safe and comfortable. And my guess is that those are the people who auditions put them up here. Very high level of pressure. And so taping an audition at home or performing via Zoom puts them right in this optimal zone because it decreases the amount of pressure. They still feel lots of pressure to get this audition right when they're taping it at home, but it's less. And so that puts them in an optimal performance zone. And then I get some folks get back to me and say like, oh no, I'm gonna wait for in-person classes to happen because Zoom classes just don't do it. Like I can't stay focused. It doesn't do it for me. I don't feel connected. And so to me that says that they need, or they need something to increase that level of pressure. Now, given that a lot of things are going to be happening by Zoom and self-tapes, there are other ways to increase that felt sense of pressure. But they're used to getting it from either the actual audition environment or from the class of people all watching. Like I need those people's eyes to elevate my level of pressure to my optimal performance. And so that's the reminder that I wanted to give you today, to track what is this, sort of solid green spot for you. Where is your optimal performance happening? And what can you do to adjust the conditions of your practice and of your auditions so that you've got the right amount of pressure to perform extremely well, but not so much that your performance suffers and not so little that you're bored, and that you're like, oh, okay, I'm trying to feel things, but actually meh, which is very much a thing that can happen. Okay, now, let's take a look at today's actor challenge. This is from a show called Hank. Maybe I'll show you the IMDb first. We've got some more bodies now. If any of you showed up at 3:30 yesterday, I'm sorry. I could have done a better job about telling y'all about the time change, and I'm glad you're still able to join us at 4 o'clock. Yes, progress. So here is Hank on IMDb. Hank, 30 minutes, comedy, TV series. A man and his family lose everything. Creator Tucker Coley stars Kelsey Grammer. Now, Kelsey Grammer, once you see his face, you're like, oh, that guy, right, extremely famous. Duh. Right, this guy here. He was the 6-time Emmy Award winner. He was on the lead on Frasier. He was on Cheers before that. He's been on many, many, many things. I think he's even an X-Men. So here we are. That's all we've got here, but we know that it's a comedy, and then we have some of these other actors that we could look up. So that gives us a sense of the style before we jump into reading it. Now I need to do this. I need Tilly, which is the mom. I need Maddie, that's the teen girl. I need Hank, that's the dad. So, hey, Kevin, you want to be the dad?
Sure.
Right. And the Deborah, do you want to be Tilly, the mom? Okay. And if we don't have any other volunteers, then I'm going to let Caden be the teen girl, even though that's weird, just because I think it's hilarious. Anybody else want to jump in who's closer to actually being a teen girl? Okay, great. Candy, I mean, if you wanted to read the teen girl, because it looks like you aren't actually driving, you could. Because there's another small character that we can give Caden, so he doesn't have to be left out. Do you want to be the teen girl for us, Candy? I can't hear you, so I'm gonna...
Maybe. I'll give it a shot, I guess.
Okay, great. So Caden...
Sorry, getting your car noise, though.
Caden, you get to be a character named Grady. You have one line right at the beginning, okay? Yeah! See? That's 8-year-old right there. He's like, one line, yes! Right? It's only the actors who've been in the game for decades who are like, one line. Oh, now it's my agent thinking, oh, I'm not even going to audition for this. So just look at Caden and breathe in some of that enthusiasm. And then hopefully he's watching the rest of us and going like, yeah, okay, cool. That's what it looks like to take the work seriously. So, Caden, remember you're Grady. I'm going to read all the stage direction, but we're not going to read the crossed out bits. Priors, pilot, a really little bed. Grady nods, probably. Maddie crosses by, texting. Now, because she's all in capital letters, that means it's the first time we've seen her. So that means that likely this is the very beginning of this show. We can check that by looking up here. It's page 20. So we're near the beginning. It's the first time that Maddie has shown up because it's all in capital letters. This is your line, Caden.
Hey, there she is.
Deborah, this is you.
Maddie, Maddie, you remember Uncle Grady?
Hey, is there any place in this terrible state that actually has good cell reception?
Honey, come on.
Now let's pause there for a moment. This double dash typically means that the character is being cut off. So it means that Hank sort of overlaps the line. So Kevin, if you were preparing this for an audition, you would just come in, you would start saying your line as soon as she said the word, basically finish saying the word honey, and you would cut her off. Deborah, if you were prepping this for an audition, you would decide what those next two words were, and you would say them, because there's almost zero chance that the reader would cut you off in time. And if you just said, come on, then you would look bad and it would be the reader's fault, but nobody would know that. So you would want to reader proof it, which I've been talking about a little bit. Sorry, Kevin, back to you.
Tilly, let me handle this.
Turns to Maddie.
Look, Moody. Maddie?
What? You called me Moody.
No, I didn't.
Caden, this is you.
I think you did.
Moody, Maddie, is that like what you call me behind my back?
No, I just, your mother.
Maddie glares at Tilly.
You think I'm moody? Am I too moody?
Milk it, Andy. Go for those underlines.
You think I'm moody? Am I too moody for you? You don't like all my muda?
Oh, sweetie, I love all your moods.
So you do think I have moods? Fine. I'll just have one mood. Then you can't call me moody anymore. This is my only mood.
Maddie storms out. Tilly looks at Hank. Now, one of the reasons I picked this is that it's got less dialogue than the Actors Challenge last week. We only got one. Melissa, who's our hardcore, she's like, a monologue, yeah, I'm German, I'm gonna do everything. And props to her for doing that. I sent her direct feedback directly by email rather than covering it in the lesson. And I was like, okay, so the lesson I'm taking from this is monologues, if we want to do them, we'll choose shorter ones and spend more time prepping it. This scene has just a few lines, but it gives you the chance to practice multiple eyelines. No matter which character you're doing, you're going to have to place one character on one side of the camera and the other character just the other side of the camera. If you're playing the dad, if you're playing the mom, if you're playing the kid. And Caden, if you want to record this, there's nothing that stops you from being Moody Maddie. It's a really fun role. Olivia, same thing. It doesn't have to be 16. You just basically have to have attitude, and I trust that the two of you could do that and pull it off. I will have the script posted to the bottom of the myfreeactingclass.com page within 15 minutes of the end of the lesson, along with a link to this video. So you'll be able to come back and just go, oh, what were the decisions we made about it, and and find what you need there. So I'm going to pop back to the script. What we've got is the Maddie crosses by texting. Right, starts with her sort of bonding with the uncle. The parents clearly are used to this kind of interaction. Tilly's trying, the mom Tilly is trying to, de-escalate. Hank comes in and sort of is like, blah, 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 and tries to be the boss and escalates it by accident by saying the word moody. If you were if you were doing Tilly, I would recommend taking this line. So it's crossed out because these are the audition sides for Maddie. But if you are preparing the role of Tilly, then I would suggest putting in this line, no, he didn't. You would have your reader, so the person who's reading with you, read all of the other lines, because that's what happens in the audition. They don't have multiple people. If you are reading Tilly, then the reader is going to say, Tilly, let me handle this. Look, Moody, Maddie, what? You called me Moody? No, I didn't. You're going to say your one little line. I think you did. Moody, Maddie, is that what you call me behind my back? No, I just, right? So they're all of those lines. And the challenge, and actually the really interesting challenge, is to have distinct eye lines for them and to react to them appropriately. To have a clear relationship with each person. Now, I haven't had a chance to talk about this in class yet, but if you have multiple characters in a scene, particularly like this where the dialogue is going back and forth between multiple characters, like let's say you're playing Tilly still. Maddie is freaking out. Hank is trying to make it better, but actually sort of bumbling and making it worse. The easiest thing to do, and probably the most effective thing to do for an audition, because on set you will, at least hopefully, will have real people who you can look at, who you can make relationships with. But for the audition, your best bet is to choose one person who the scene is mostly with. And so I'll sometimes call that your key person or the most important person. And basically, you make the reader that person. So you're looking into somebody's eyes as much as possible, actually looking at a real person as much as possible. And then whichever character is just sort of supporting your arc with that main character, you would place on the other side of the camera. So likely, given that this is a scene about Maddie's blow up, that key character, if you're playing Tilly, is Maddie. And if you're playing Hank, again, key character is probably Maddie. If you're Maddie, you could choose either one because we've got this first line sort of could be to either of them. This blow up here, Hank then points it at the mom, and she blows up over here. And so really the key person could be the mom or the dad, whichever sort of, if you're playing Maddie, strikes you as most interesting, it's your story the best. So let's jump into the looking at the questions quickly. So here are the story questions that I've been hitting every time. Hopefully you're so sick of these that you can remember them all in your sleep, because that's the goal. You're like, oh man, not these questions again, and then you actually remember them. No right or wrong, only more or less effective. Style, comedy. So teen girl grumpy about phone blows up a dad. Now, if it's your scene, let's see. Should we keep looking at the character of Tilly, the mom, or should we look at? Deborah's like, yes, we should, of course, yeah, because that's what she's doing. Or should we look at the teen girl? For the majority rules, throw it into the chat window. Which character should we be looking at for our breakdown? So basically, the people who are keenest to type get to make this judgment call. I suppose there's the mom. Okay, great. That's 3 moms. So decision made. Easy. All right. Caden said the teen, but he was so thanks for weighing in. But right now, majority rules. So my story. If you're Tilly. What is your version of this story, or what's the part that's important to you? Which I just like throwing out there, so you can. There's a small enough group you can probably unmute it and say
she's a peacekeeper.
Peacekeeper, great. If as long as it's a couple of words, or you can throw it in the chat window. So she's a peacekeeper. So I'm keeping the peace. Or my husband wrecks everything. Or my daughter is a time bomb. right? Ex- uh, or right, so each of these is like, oh yeah, this is my take on the story, right? It's like stepping carefully around the girl who explodes, or oh man, like why does Hank have to get involved? Ah, there he goes wrecking this again. Or like, okay, everybody, let's just be nice. Let's be nice. Different versions of the story, all accurate, all things that are present in the scene. But I think we have to start with like, what story do I want to tell? If you're playing Tilly, the arc of the scene, right? So it starts somewhere, it ends somewhere else. It starts with like, pleasant, friendly, right? Introducing the uncle. Hey, you remember this uncle? And it ends with you being shouted at. And it ends with confrontation. Confrontation. Descriptive words. So how does Tilly describe herself? Right, if she's a peacekeeper, then yeah.
Easy going.
Easy going, great. Yeah, what else?
She's a mom.
Right, good mom. Right, she's that's how she thinks of herself. What else?
Diplomatic.
Diplomatic, great. The idea is that we could. Okay, apparently I can't spell and talk at the same time. The idea is that we could keep going, and get 7 or 8 adjectives. An exercise that actually I got from Caring, great, that I got from Kirsten Clarkson, was to either from the breakdown or from your own exercise, get that short list of adjectives and then spread them out through the scene so that you're really making sure that all of them are included, where you're like, right, this part easygoing, this part good mom, because good moms are stern sometimes, this part diplomatic, this part I'm going to be caring and care, that it can help you shape your performance. Descriptive words for Maddie, who is the key person in the scene. If you're Tilly, what's Maddie like? Right, grumpy.
Grumpy, yeah. Explosive.
Explosive, yeah. Right. Moody. Yeah, of course, Livia. Yeah, of course. Right, like take them right from the script. Use what the writer gave you. Anybody else want to add anything else? Right, maybe immature, or what's the right word for somebody who is not respectful of their parents? Sorry? Selfish, right, there we go. Script relationship, mother-daughter. And this is where you would have to personalize it and go, what is in your personal life that helps you empathize with the feelings behind that experience? So personalizing this relationship so you could find something that would help you find, right, easygoing versus explosive, right? And that could be a work relationship. That could be somebody you knew in school, right? Like with me, I think I might use my uncle, who's the person who I can most vividly remember, like kind of walking on eggshells around, going like, okay, he's happy right now, but like, when is he just going to fly off the handle? And it doesn't matter that my personalization is not a substitution. It doesn't have to be a teen that is explosive. The idea is that it helps me feel it, right? It helps me empathize with the feelings. And if the feeling, the story that makes sense to me is walking on eggshells, then that's what I'm going to use to help me remember that. I'm like, oh, right, talking to my uncle. And like, okay, doing my best, being friendly, also kind of escalated. And it brings in a complex relationship into my body and adds depth to the scene. Without me needing to go into writing an essay. Yeah, potentially I get more of that. What do I want if I'm Tilly? Right, like let's say we play with Deborah's first thought, which I'm keeping the peace. So if she's a peacekeeper, what does, or if you are a peacekeeper, what do you want?
Peace and quiet.
Peace and quiet. Peace and quiet. Or everybody gets along. Yeah, right. Nice work, Olivia. I was saying it while you were typing it. And so then we can play with objective phrases that might help anchor the script. Like, let's be reasonable, or everybody calm down, or don't freak out. And I know that it seems very similar, but at least when I say it, that's different for me. Like, those have a different kind of emotional resonance. They do something different to me personally. It's like, hey, okay, let's be reasonable, and like, don't freak out. I would say try a bunch of them. Go. What else might you use as an option if you're looking at your objective phrase? All right, throw some of them in the chat window if you've got thumbs to spare. Everything is not about you. Yeah, right? Really different flavor. Right? And that's what we want. We want a couple of really different options so that when the director says, yeah, that was really interesting, but now try it like this, you're like, cool, I already explored this. I'm not stuck in a single delivery of this. And my understanding of the scene is flexible. It's one of the biggest things that I have heard from directors, and from casting directors will say this about directors, so sort of about directors via casting directors, that they really want to make sure the performance is flexible. So objective phrases. Let's pick one of Tilly's lines, and just get Deborah, and maybe Kevin or Candy to give us an example. So we look at Tilly's lines. No, sweetie, I love all your moods. Right? It's a comedy. Remember, the goal of a comedy is to make people laugh. That's the goal. We still want you to be believable because this is an American primetime comedy that somebody spent a lot of money on. So it's not going to be like a big, silly, cheesy sitcom. Believability is going to still be important, but the goal is to find something funny. And if you enjoy it, likely they will as well. If we can talk to Josh Zaharia is coming on as a guest tomorrow. Josh has worked in comedy a lot. You might remember him as the guy who I showed you his clip from this like weird werewolf thing where he was being chased by a werewolf. Very, very funny actor who's working on a couple of different shows right now. And so we can talk with Josh about comedy. Deborah, a reminder, the line is, no, sweetie, I love all your moods. So pick one of these objective phrases. Which one of the objective phrases is interesting to you? You're going to have to unmute yourself, Deborah. Which one of the objective phrases is interesting to you?
I like the one that you just chose. Oh, for the objective phrases for that. Okay. Well, I kind of like the everything is not about you that I put
Great.
down.
So look at us and say everything is not about you, and just actually try and land that on us like it's true. Don't act it, just say it. Everything is not about you.
Everything is not about you.
Good. And then the line is, no, sweetie, I love all your moods. Say it like you said that.
Okay. Everything is not about you.
Good. So that's you acting it, and I just want you to go back to saying it to us. Just say it to us.
Okay. Everything is not about you.
Good. Now look at us and say the words, no, sweetie, I love all your moods, but say it like you just said that.
No, sweetie, I love all your moods.
Right? And so the subtext, so on the surface of it, what she's saying is like so supportive, but underneath it, it's like, oh my God, everything's not about you. Kevin, if you were going to pick a different one of these objective phrases, which one stands out for you?
Don't freak out.
Don't freak out. Good. So look at us and say, don't freak out.
Don't freak out.
Good. Now say the line like you said that. It's no, sweetie, I love all your moods.
Oh, yeah, that's it. No, sweetie, I love all your moods.
Right? And so you see that those objective phrases for me end up being more effective because there's a whole bunch of ways you can approach them. And they can be more flexible than going like, well, I'm going to do this line angry and this line sad. Your character is feeling 6 things at once, or 7 or 9. They're having a complex experiences rooted inside of the story. And so we want your understanding of it and the way you approach it as an actor to also be rooted in that story, and in what a real human connection is like. Okay, it is 4:33. Thanks for coming to today's lesson. Let's use this script as reference when we talk about comedy and some of the ways to approach comedy tomorrow with Josh. All right. Thanks for showing up.
Michael.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael B.
My pleasure.